Diplomacy is a field that not only has a centuries-old tradition, but as often evokes clear associations. It is commonly linked to politics, states' activity on the international stage, embassies and diplomats how are skilled in dealing with other. Will such an understanding of diplomacy is consistent with reality? Its essence has evolved significantly over the years, essentially in the 21st century. The increase in the number and level of engagement of actors on the international stage has led to the contemporary diplomatic environment begin characterized by a complex web of interactions between states and non-state actors. International organizations, non-governmental organizations, and the world's largest corporations have become actively participated in the global area. Simultaneously with the advancing process of globalization, the scope of global issues and matters subject to diplomacy has expanded. While in the past, diplomacy primarily focused on matters of war and peace, constructing high politics. Today, it has addressed issues such as human rights, environmental protection, and the economy, which are considered part of law politics. This shift makes the traditional state-centered understanding of diplomacy increasing outdated. Diplomacy dates back to the dawn of human civilization, and its meaning and essence have undergone significant evolution of the centuries. Analogies, the rich literature on the history of diplomacy, despite the consensus of the meaning of the term diplomacy. It is evident that many authors define it in various ways. It is much more difficult to pinpoint a single definition than fully captures the essence of diplomacy. This results for its rich history, multi-dimensionality, and the varying interpretations of diplomacy in both popular understanding and academical literature. In public discourse, diplomacy is often equated with tactful jet insert and cunning behavior and ability to say placed this in an applied way and act discreet and hypocritically. Article 3 of the Convention specifies that the function of diplomacy representative abroad include representing the sending state in the receiving state, protecting the interests of the sending state and its citizens within the limits established by international law, negotiation with the government of the receiving state, legally gathering information on conditions and events occurring in the receiving state and conveying this information to the government of the sending state, developing friendly bilateral relations, including cooperation in the economic, culture, and scientific forces. Furthermore, the Convention allows for the expansion for diplomatic mission function to include consular activities. As the result, 6 basic diplomatic functions were defeated: representative, negotiation, information, promotional, protective, and consular. For the first time in history, the codification of diplomatic law norms occurred during the Conference of Vienna. This was an important moment in the history of diplomacy because it provided legal regulation for many of its approaches. The Vienna Congress rules, for example, emphasized the sovereign equality of state, which led to the breaking of the previous practice of granting diplomas protected based of their title, familiarity, or the role position. It also established an uniform hierarchy for diplomatic representatives, dividing them in 3 categories: ambassadors, legates, and apostolic nuncios. Envoys, ministers, or other representatives accredited to monarchy. Charge d'affaires accredited to foreign ministers. The real forcing of diplomatic law and practice occurred in the 20th century. World War I discredited the system of behind the scenes alliance and secret diplomacy, creating a need for transparency. This was a reference in Woodrow Wilson's 14 points delivered, which included a call for transparency in diplomacy and a renunciation of secret agreements. Following these events, the League of Nations was established in 1980, marking the first international organization of the general character and a significant step in the development of multilateral diplomacy. The League of Nations was unable to prevent the outbreak of World War II, lead to its dissolution and the creation of the United Nations, with broad compensation and the wider scope of act. The diplomatic development of both bilateral and multilateral diplomacy in the 20th century was also linked to the professionalization of the field. On one hand, this involved expanding more demanding selection of individuals representable for its implementation. Regardless of the method and form of recruitment in various countries, a person aspiring to become a diplomat must not only meet specific formal criteria concerning education, citizenship, and mental and physical health, but also possible carrying diplomatic competitions. Diplomacy has undergone numerous transformations over the years, and as the international environment has changed, so have its forms, methods, tools, and actors. The process of globalization, as well as the increasing independence and transnational natural of phenomena in recent decades have contributed to future changes observed in every aspect of traditional diplomacy. One of the main issues traditionally dealt with by diplomacy has high politics. This pertains to matters related to war and peace, including the resolution of territorial disputes and the establishment of borders. The end of the Cold War and the related departure for the bipolar international order. Also, with changes resulting from the process of globalization, allowed for the expansion of diplomatic topic to include issues that fall under law politics. This involve areas such as human rights, ecology, science, technology, education, law, and the arts. It also relates to global issues that require multilateral cooperation between states, as well as the involvement of non-state actors. Since Russia is aggression against Ukraine, there has been a return to high politics in international relations. The expansion of diplomatic subject matter is also linked to the emergence of a new type of diplomacy, such as public diplomacy, cultural diplomacy, scientific diplomacy, environment diplomacy, and economic diplomacy. Through this new area of diplomatic activity, states built their position and utilize new tools to influence their environment. New types of diplomacy are developing dynamically and are an area of interest for researchers for international relations. Dynamic changes in the international environment have also affected the functioning of traditional diplomacy, both internally and externally. The appearance of new issues in the public sphere has created the need to involve other entities in the implementation of diplomacy. The emergence of new actors and growing demand for specialized knowledge in diplomacy raised the questions of the current role of professional diplomats. Many researchers in international relations emphasize that despite the growing number of people engaged in diplomacy, both for the public and private sectors, professional diplomats still play a significant role in implementing a country's foreign policy and managing relations with the environment. New communication tools have also influenced the change in the existing hierarchy and the distribute of power among various actors involved in diplomacy. Social media, in particular, has contributed to increasing interactions between the entities shaping forget and domestic police, as well as between the and the public. However, this also brings new challenges. The digital revolution in information and communication technologies affect the way people communicate and act, as well as how they think and interpret reality. The sense that there are shared beliefs about how the world works has reacted. The rapid development of information and communication technologies, the emergence of social media platform and the consequent change in diplomatic practice have led to the emergence of the new type for diplomacy called virtual diplomacy, e-diplomacy, cyber diplomacy, or digital diplomacy. Its essence lies in mining social, economic, and political interaction through electric means rather than the direct communication. However, it is important to emphasize despite the significant role of modern information and communication technologies, including media and social media, in conduction diplomacy. They limit the understanding of the context of communication and the building the trust which are crucial in a diplomacy activities. Permanent diplomatic mission, such as embassies, nuncios, or high communication commissions, remain the most important instrument of diplomacy, and together with ministers of foreign affairs, they constitute its organizational base. Permanent diplomacy mission is an organ of the sending state, established under an agreement with the receiving state for the purpose of carrying out diplomatic function. In essence, it is the office of the head of the diplomatic mission, consisting of a team of substantive officers and technical administrative staff, all being official of the sending state. Processes of globalization, new communication and information technologies, and the growing role of multilateral diplomatic are changing the significations, structures, and functions of permanent diplomatic mission in bilateral relations. This has led many analysts and researchers to similar conclusions, as in the case of ministers of foreign affairs about their anachronisms and usualizations. Key factors in reduction the importance of bilateral missions include the growing signification of heads of state or government in diplomatic activities, leading to many issues begin resulted without the involvement of permanent missions. The including autonomy of sectoral ministers in foreign policy and diplomacy, the evolution of the subject matter of diplomacy, particularly the growing importance of use relation to law politics, resulting in a rise in multilateral diplomacy. The growing activity of non-state international actors, modern communication technologies, with also reduced to the role of permanent mission as intermediaries. All these changes have led to the shift from club diplomacy, based on a small number of players, hierarchical structure, traditional communication, and low transparency, to network diplomacy. The essence of this is the much larger number of participants engaged in diplomacy, a flatter structure, the use of new communication form, and great transparency. As a result, both the main task and the challenge for diplomacy in the 21st century have become management of complexity. Thank you for attention.